Good morning, friends. Hello. How are you this morning? I pray that you are well and that this gloomy day is actually finding you with some joy in it. So, welcome this morning. I am coming in hot, running in from the Greater Fall River Council of Churches meeting. Always a joy to kind of meet and fellowship with people and our brothers and sisters up and down Rock Street and folks across the river and spend some time with them. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Jamie, good morning. Hello. It's falling down here. Yeah, it's live, everybody. It's happening. So, good morning, everyone. It's a little cup of joy. Who doesn't want a cup of joy? Really, no kidding, right? So, Kristen, good morning to you. I hope you're great. I heard you got more. Uh, I saw your post there that you got some more um, scary monsters for the front yard. That's so much fun. Yeah, I hope it's. I mean, and right, it's only what 355 days or something uh, till Halloween next year. So hope it's good. Good morning. Hey, John, how are you? I don't know what Derek's up. No, he is. Derek is in Seattle, or in Washington. Good morning, John. Hey, Jane and John, welcome. Hope you're doing well up there. I, so I heard my friends in the north got some white stuff at some point along the way, and I hope that the official kind of beginning of the change of seasons from fall to winter here. So all kinds of stuff happening. All right, friends, let's get going. It is the ninth day of October, ninth day of November at 11:11, and I am glad that you're here. I'm glad to be a part of this journey with each of you, whether you're with us for a long time, or you're with us for a short time, or you're with us for a good time. It doesn't matter. I'm glad you're here and a part of this. Because you know that you will be prayed for today. That those who hear this voice, who hear this message, have your prayer will be upon you. So, but if nothing else happens today, know that someone has lifted you up in goodness today. It is the ninth day of November, so we are a couple of days before Veterans Day. I am, as many of you may know, I spent a number of years in service and retired from the Army from the Army Reserve, and have all kinds of kind of adventures and stories and things from that. But the but this holiday that comes up, that's on the horizon. It's an interesting one. I will spend most of the day in in ceremonies of some sort. I'll be giving a benediction here in Fall River for the ceremony here. I'll be giving invocation and benediction in Westport. I'll be in some of the parades, so I'll be a part of all of these. The Remembrance Day, which is what is called in the United Kingdom Remembrance Day, that we might remember, that we might link back. If you heard our talk on Sunday, we talked a lot about remembering, this notion of being reconnected to the whole, it's not about we post enlightenment have got this notion that remembering is something about making your list so that you don't forget something. It's not about remembering or forgetting. It's about connection or disconnection. It's about being a part of the vital life blood and the life flow of creation and of divinity, or being separate from that. It is much more branch and vine, to use Jesus's image of this branch that supplies nutrients every second to its vine. So too are we. And so I want to invite you today, as we kind of prepare for Remembrance Day, to remember a bit of what this looks like and what it means. That because there's a whole lot of us, and there's a whole lot of ways in which we're kind of being there. There's all this kind of headwind in the world that would bring us to resisting these things. That we would bring that would bring that the resistance to all that of what it is to remember those who came before us, remember the connection, to remember that we are part of a whole. Every single issue in our day has become a polemic issue, rather than an issue that we one person might see it one way, one more person might see it another way, and that we can work towards a goal or a solution. We find ourselves in this land of polemics, this land of division, where the way in which I understand the solution must come is the way that the solution must come. And that this division, this is one that brings us again and again and again back to our own disconnection, our own vine being cut off from the whole. Because we can't be in resistance to the other. We can't say that's wrong and this is right. Even though there are plenty of things I will say in this world right now, that looks pretty wrong and this looks pretty right. But we have to understand, we have to operate from this notion that there's the larger whole at work. And so this is a one verse from the book of James, which I want us to really to kind of spend a moment with today, which is this. This is James 4:7. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. There's a threefold process here. See, the thing about James is that James was a pastor. James was a pastor trying to hold together a church in Jerusalem at about the year about 60 AD. He was working to hold this group. The things had gone cattywampus. The church was being oppressed. People were hiding in their homes, but he's trying to hold this community together. And so he has this letter that's circulating about how do we be church in the midst of a world that is literally trying to divide itself, that your neighbors might inform on you, that there's all of this craziness. And there's the fourth chapter, this last chapter, are some of the most specific and some of the most directive instruction to his church. He kind of as he rolls it out in this way of kind of illustrating the problem that they have, and kind of saying these are the ways that we can come at this. This is the way that we can live into this. But the fourth chapter, he gives straight up instruction. And he says this: submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. There's three components to this. And so when we talk about this submit ourselves, therefore, to God. Another way to understand this is to submit ourselves to that which we understand to be good and true. To submit ourselves, to labor under, and to arrange our world, and to live our lives, act in the world as if the things that we believe to be good and true are the things in which we are going to try and act out. There is an active submission to this. Oh, I know that's the right thing to do, but I'm not going to do it anyway. Or, yeah, I know that this is what God calls me to, but I'm gonna choose something differently. This understanding of submitting ourselves to the true, the good, and the beautiful, to submitting ourselves to it, and that at the same time that we say, okay, this is the thing, everything else that would pull us away, we resist. I could just stay home and binge on the Netflix. I could stay home and play Xbox. I could do this. I could do any number of things. I could open my life or do any number of things that would pull me away from the true and the good and the beautiful. And that this resistance, and that in the resistance and in the embrace of the true, the good and beautiful, in the embrace of God, in the submitting ourselves to what really is in our life, and as best as we understand it, understanding that God will work with our poor understanding. This is one of the things about the trust of faith, is that God will work with our poor understanding. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. We think the fleeing of the devil, looks like some sort of exorcist movie or something like that. But what it really means is the return of the heavenly qualities, the two greatest heavenly qualities being peace and innocence. Peace in the sense of understanding that there may be chaos in the world, but the chaos isn't in your heart and in your mind, and it isn't driving fear and anxiety and worry. And innocence in the sense of knowing that there's everything that can go wrong with the world. There is this massive brokenness in the world, and there's this massive unfolding of all that's not quite right, and some of it that is just so horrific we can barely conceive of it unless it pops up on our Twitter feed and gives us some sort of image that gets burned into our brain. That innocence, though, that will inhabit us. It will tell us. It will inform our being. That no matter the extent of the brokenness of the world, there is still a good in which it is contained within. There is still a whole in which God's grace and God's love and God's peace for us is at work. And so, one of the as we are the church here at 282 Rock Street, as we are a small little group of worshiping Christians and people who are seeking to follow this Jesus guy, as all of you at 1111 are hearing my voice, are trying to figure out what it is that these crumbs of the good and the true and the beautiful that Jesus has laid down before us, how those might become banquets in our days, that in all of this, we link ourselves to the remembering and to the resistance that will come with it, that will come for it. I'm not, and so we do things here at church. That's what we do. We do things that lean into this reality. We have on Sunday, we're having our very first pop-up bake sale for our scholarship fund. We have a scholarship fund here at church. We have some people bringing in some baked goods. If you'd like to bring in a baked good, that would be awesome. If you want to come and buy some, that would be awesome. And we're going to raise a little bit of money for the scholarship fund, which is going to go to help kids get educations and go forward and do great things in the world. Friends, I don't need to tell you what's on the headlines. I don't need to tell you the anxiety that's in your heart or in your mind or out there in your being. I don't need to tell you how, as we come up on the anniversary and of, one of the greatest kind of wholesale slaughters of human creation in the First World War, and the commemoration of those who served and bore witness to horror in all wars, and who gave service to the nation in its time of need. As we bear witness to this and all of the the pain and the human hurt and the difficulty that's wrapped up in all those things, and the true service and the true willingness to serve that is given in that, and in all of it, we're gonna have a bake sale for our scholarship fund. We're gonna hear the words of the gospel. We're going to baptize a baby. Well, she's 4, so she's not really a baby anymore, but she's a hoot. So if you can come just for the baptism alone, it's going to be awesome. But this isn't just a plea for you to come to church. This is me talking about how we in our little congregation are living out this line from James, to submit ourselves to God, to resist the devil, and that he will flee from you. You see, it's ours to both remember, but also to build. And so, in our building and our remembering, in our joys and in our concerns, in our wonder and in our worry, we can offer it all up to Christ who made us. So as we close today, I want to read you a poem. I want to read you one of my favorite of the war poets. I've read it in worship before, and it is, I think, in many ways, I think it's the poem in some ways for Veterans Day. And it is about us remembering the hard things of war that Siegfried Sassoon suffered in the First World War, and the way that he managed to put it to pen, and the way that we're called to remember. We're called to relink back to it. And that in doing so, in making that hard look at it, and making that own willingness to carry it and to carry it with us, and it is a way in which, and when we do that, we honor the good, we honor the wound, we honor the difficulty of the world in which we face, and in it we submit ourselves to God, and we resist the devil who would just say, "Oh, just look away. Oh, just ignore. Oh, just don't worry about the wounds of the world. You can't do anything about them anyway." But that we might remember, and that in our remembrance we might resist the devil, and in our resistance he will flee from us. So this is called Aftermath by Siegfried Sassoon. Have you forgotten yet? For the world's events have rumbled on since those gagged days, like traffic checked while at the crossing of city ways, and the haunted gap in your mind has filled with thoughts that flow like clouds in the lit heaven of life, and you're a man reprieved to go, taking your peaceful share of time with joy to spare. But the past is just the same, and war's a bloody game. Have you forgotten yet? Look down and swear by the slain of the war that you'll never forget. Do you remember the dark nights you held the sector at Mehmet's? The nights you watched and wired and dug and piled sandbags on parapets? Do you remember the rats and the stench of corpses rotting in the front of the front-line trench? The dawn coming, dirty white and chill with a hopeless rain? Do you ever stop and ask, is it all going to happen again? Do you remember that hour of din before the attack, and the anger, the blind compassion that seized and shook you then, as you peered at the doomed and haggard faces of your men? Do you remember the stretcher cases lurching back with dying eyes and lolling heads, those ashen gray masks of the lads who once were keen and kind and gay? Have you forgotten yet? Look up and swear by the green of the spring that you'll never forget. Friends, as we prepare ourselves for this Veterans Day, as we stand a part of this world that seems to cast itself into forgetting what violence really is and what it looks like, as we stand on this, I want to invite you, wherever you are and whatever you're a part of, to remember and truly remember, to reconnect yourself to that which is right and good and true. Maybe show up at your local Veterans Day celebration and ceremony, so that those sacrifices and that pain does not go unborn and unwitnessed. No matter how much the world would have you look aside or look away. Friends, I hope in this weekend you'll come and have a bake sale or be a part of ours, or in some small way Build the world towards the good and the true and the beautiful. Lift up that which is right and good, and submit yourselves to God's order, and not worrying about the devil's order, because when you resist it in that way, he will flee from you. Peace and grace to you, my friends, and we'll pick it up next week with another 1111.